In this video, I want to speak about rhythm because rhythm is a very important aspect in life in general, but especially in this type of work, the work of self development and understanding your energy system, your nervous system, your breath. Everything works with rhythms and cycles, just like anything else in nature. So it's a very important aspect to work with and become aware of on a more subtle level. Now, most of us are not really in tune with our own natural rhythm, and this is caused by many different reasons, like we grow up in a society where we're not really encouraged to explore our own natural rhythm. Often from a early age, we get dictated what rhythms we're supposed to follow. In the beginning, it's often our parents that dictate the rhythms that we're supposed to follow. And then later on, we go into the schooling system. And after that, into any type of work. Most of us go and work in, for instance, office jobs, where again, there's an external force that determines when we have to start, when our day ends, and also with that, often what time we need to get up, what time we get back home. So a lot of our rhythms in our Western society are dictated to us from an external force. And like I said, we're never really encouraged to explore our own natural rhythm. It's almost like there's not really a space for us to do that. And I encountered this myself personally when I actually left the office work that I was doing and I started working more for myself and with an organization that I started working with at the time, which allowed me more freedom to sort of organize my life and create my own schedule. And in the beginning, it was really, really challenging. That sense of freedom often left me feeling a bit restless and unsure of how to cope with that sense of freedom. And one of the aspects that I would notice it with a lot was this aspect of when to get up. Like in the beginning, my mind was so used to these habits of getting up at a certain time. And I was forcing myself, or my mind was forcing me to still adhere to these patterns and continue these patterns for a long time after it was even needed anymore. So it was quite a journey to get back to my own natural rhythm and figure out and explore like what is my own inherent rhythm that feels natural to my system. Because that's the thing, we're all unique and individual in that sense. So it is important to learn to explore that aspect of our being because rhythm is so important. It creates a certain stability within our system. It creates a certain dynamic movement that also prevents stagnation and it prevents stagnation, but at the same time it also creates a certain stability that allows the system to settle and not get overwhelmed and overstimulated. So it's important for us to explore these aspects, the aspect of rhythm, and there's many different ways that we can do it. Obviously, in the work that I offer in the breath integration program, we obviously look at that in relationship to our breathing. There's an inherent rhythm in our breathing between the inhalation and the exhalation. The inhalation symbolic for what we take in from life, the input from life, and the exhalation is what we put out, how we respond to life. And we all will have different patterns and rhythms within our breathing as well. Some people are more comfortable with the inhalation, some people are more comfortable with the exhalation. So this can tell you a lot about your system. It can also show you where your imbalance is, if it's more on the masculine side or the feminine side. So learning to observe and cultivating a deeper relationship with the rhythms within our breathing is very insightful for the patterns that we have inherently within our system. And when we get more awareness on these patterns, they will gradually shift and get more into harmony, because that is ultimately what the deeper aspect of this work is about: getting back into alignment and attunement with your own system and understanding your system on a subtle level, so that you can get back to that natural rhythm that will then be able to carry you throughout your life. So a lot of it also has to do with certain patterns of forcing and straining that might be in our system, which a lot of us are struggling with, where we force ourselves to do certain things, just like I was just describing with me in the beginning, forcing myself to get up at a certain time and adhere to certain rhythms that were not natural to my own system. So yeah, an important aspect of the work that I teach is that it needs to arise out of a personal exploration. It's not something that someone can tell you or again dictate to you, because that will not be sustaining in the long run. You can use certain practices or guidelines as a sort of a way to explore and try different things out, but the exploration is super important. To dive into the exploration and the practices with an open mind, not from a sense of like, this is what I need to do, or I need to get this right or do it in a perfect way, but more from this sense of curiosity of like, how does it feel to do these practices? How does it feel to adhere to certain rhythms? What does it do to my system? What does it do to my mind? And then the more we learn about those aspects of our system, the more we will get back into a natural, harmonious rhythm that is natural to ourselves. And that will from there trickle out into our everyday life as well, where this rhythm starts to generate the stability that I was talking about. When you look at the Rosicrucian tradition, they have a saying that says rhythm replaces power. And what they're referring to is that when we start to adhere to the natural rhythm within our system, we basically create a stability that creates a certain power within our life that is not based on solely our willpower or us pushing through. There's something else that starts to carry us through our life that allows us to be nourished as well, no matter how challenging our life might become. There's a sense of always having something to fall back to and to be carried by. So yeah, these aspects are essential. And like I said, this is a big part of the breath integration program that I offer. And in this program, obviously, as the name suggests, we use the breath as a vehicle to understand and become aware of the deeper patterns that run every aspect of our life, because they run us from our subconscious. And the breath is the ultimate tool to shine light on these patterns and become more aware, because the way we relate to our breathing, that's the relationship that we have to ourselves, but also to other aspects of our lives and also the people around us. So yeah, in the breath integration program, we use the breath as a tool to gain a deeper awareness of our more subtle and more unconscious patterns. So if you are interested in that, if you like to have support on your journey and to explore the breath and different aspects of our breathing, also if you want to understand different ways of breathing and different breathing methods, this is all covered within the breath integration program. So if you want to know more about the process, the program, and what steps we take during the program, there's a link in the description where you can download the program overview. And in that overview, you will also find the next steps to connect with me if it feels relevant for you. So we can schedule a call where we can discuss where you're at, where you would like to go, and if this work is relevant for you.